Please note that the following is not legal advice and is provided for informational and educational purposes only. Investing in securities carries a high degree of risk and can result in the loss of your entire investment. You should consult with a qualified financial advisor or legal professional before making any investment decisions. The information contained in this presentation does not constitute an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments. Any opinions expressed in this presentation are subject to change without notice and should not be relied upon as a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. Please do your own due diligence and research before making any investment decisions. Alright, so we got a few people in the building. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank y'all for coming through. Of course, if you're new to my TikTok, I like to do trading recaps, especially for the beginners. Do a little bit of charting, give my thoughts on how a few things are moving, and then going from there. So, Pia, I see you. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for joining. Thank y'all for the likes. Thank you for the likes. And let's go ahead and get into the most recent recap that I am the most proud of. So a few days ago, I spotlighted to my Discord community that I was jumping into Amazon puts as a swing. So I'm going to bring up the Discord so we can show exactly when I called it out. And then we'll bring up TradingView and we'll take a look at the charts just to see what I saw and how I plotted it. So let's go over here. Let's bring the Discord down a bit. Let's go to Passive Income University. Let us go to our trading chat room right here. I'm going to bring myself up just a little bit, shrink down a bit, boom, boom, boom. And let's scroll up, This was, all right, so that was me selling the Amazon puts. Yo, Z, thanks for coming through. Dolphin Zod. All right, so we're just doing a recap. I gave a heads up a few days ago that I was getting into Amazon puts. Let me see where it's at. Let me see. All right, so here on the 10th, 12:09 p.m., this was 12:09 West Coast time. I am in California. I said swinging some Amazon puts based off the recent 52-week high and initial daily downtrend that has started. I even put the screenshot for the contracts that I got into. So I bought 24 contracts at an average of $74 per contract. And I got the ones that expired June 7th. I really was planning on swinging this far out. Right, as long as Amazon stayed in that daily downtrend, I was planning on swinging these puts. So that was when I gave the heads up. Thank y'all for coming through. Thank you for joining. Thanks for the likes. I see you, BD Nunez, Milagro, Blurry Blends. Thanks for coming through. Eddie's World, I see you. So what I'm talking about was I gave the heads up on April 10th, about an hour before the market closed, that I was swinging Amazon puts. So now we could go back and take a look in TradingView so we can see what I saw. And then after we get into that, we'll go into some of the charting for some other tickers. Anybody get into that GameStop or AMC? Yo, Candy Girls, what's up? Thanks for coming through. Thank you for the likes. Of course, the internet is acting bizarre, but what else is new? What else is new? Just gonna have to deal with it. Just gonna have to rock with it. But I see Candy Girl. Thank you. Roland Luke says thoughts on Neo. We'll get into that in just a moment. Just remind me, Roland Luke, to look at that. We're going to just look at this Amazon first on the daily chart to show y'all what I saw and what I called out. So here we had it on, what is this? I can't even see it. Let me bring this up and let me pop over here. Let's bring this up even more. Let me bring me down a little bit and we can get into this. All right, let's bring this down just a bit. So here we go. We've got the Amazon daily chart, and over here on May 9th, it hit all-time highs, and it had somewhat of a bullish shooter, or more so like a spinning top, a doji, right? A little bit of indecision after the all-time highs were hit by Amazon, by the buyers or the bulls. And then we had this one right here. This was on the 10th. Just like I called out, we started this initial daily trend, right? So it's a very simple one. What do we know about trends? Higher highs and higher lows means an uptrend, lower highs and lower lows, which we see right here is a downtrend. So back on the 10th, I just drew this initial downtrending line. And then towards the end of the day, as y'all saw in my Discord, I alerted that I was getting into puts. And then I just rode the puts down. Now today was a little shaky because we had the crazy gap down and then it shot all the way back up. But it is still, for the most part, in this downward trend. So we saw that right here, right? I gave the heads up. I said what puts I was getting into, planning on swinging them. Now my original thought process was to swing these until Amazon broke the daily chart. And once Amazon broke the daily chart or the daily trend, my goal was to get out. Now, the only thing that happened that got me off plan was I had a lot of meetings for work. So for those of y'all that don't know, I am not a full-time trader. I do have a full-time job, and all of a sudden I had all of these meetings that I needed to attend to for work. So what I ended up doing was just being safe and taking my profits just so that the trade wouldn't go away. So you saw me get in on the 10th, and then if we go forward, I said that the Amazon puts were playing out nicely as far as the 11th goes, or as far as yesterday the 13th. So I held them over the weekend. They were playing out very, very nice. Nice conservative. Don't need to be over the top. Anything crazy. Just a straightforward play. And then essentially, let me go ahead and scroll on down. A couple of people asked me when I got into Amazon. Said when I got out. And then yesterday in the morning, when I saw that they were doing well and I saw that I was going to be distracted, I wasn't going to be able to be in front of the charts or my computer for trading, I went ahead and I sold 20 of the 24 contracts that I had. Right? I'm all in the way. I sold 20 of the 24 contracts that I had, and then I let 4 of them run, right? I'm getting better and better at letting contracts run or letting a trade run. I let them run for about 30 minutes, way out of my comfort zone. I was like, F it, let me just take them while they're up. And I went ahead and got out of the last 4 remaining contracts. But that was the long and short of it. Very straightforward, nothing over the top. We know for the most part, right, if you're used to investing or trading, when things hit 52-week highs or all-time highs, normally there's going to be a retracement, there's going to be a pullback. We saw that with Amazon on this daily chart. It hit the all-time highs here, and then we're just in this downward trend. I should have just held on a bit longer. Like I said, my original trading plan was just to ride the downward trend to the bottom. But hey, profit is profit, and there's nothing wrong with taking profit when you see it. So that was the long and short of the play. But let me go back through. Bab wants to take a week at the NVIDIA this week chart. All right, Bab, I'll check you out. And then Roland Luke asked for NEO first. I want to give a big shout out to Thrill Billy. Thank you for the follow. So let's take a quick look at NEO. And then for Bab, we're going to look at NVIDIA. All right, let's see if I still got a NEO chart somewhere. It's been a while since I've traded NEO, but it looks like I did have somewhat of a chart on here. So we're just going to quickly do some thoughts, see what we think. Whenever this loads up, of course. Why is this even open? This RSI. All right, let's see if we can exit out of this. Wow, NEO is crazy. Anybody get into GameStop today, though? Did anybody get into GameStop? Thank y'all for the likes. Thank you, thank you. Anybody get into GameStop? All right. Let me see. Okay, so here we're looking at NEO. Let me move this over to the daily chart. I always like to start there, then work my way down or up, depending on how it's looking. So we had a gap up today on NEO, and we've got earnings coming up. I swear, when y'all be asking for tickers, it's always an earnings play coming up right around the corner. So towards the end of this month, we've got the earnings coming up for NEO. Interesting enough, it doesn't show if it's going to be before the market opens or when the market closes. Yo, Anthony Caldero, thank you for the likes. So right now, we are somewhat in a bullish upward trend on NEO. And so just based off of this initial chart, what I'm seeing is probably a little bit more push to the upside before we hit this resistance zone, as we can see. So I like to plot a rough resistance or support and resistance zone, and then kind of drill down if I'm getting closer and closer into a trade to make it more precise. But what we can see here in this rectangle that I just drew, right? This is pretty easy. Like, I don't even feel like, I'm really giving y'all something that was just too crazy or over the top. But I would be careful. I would look for more bullish sentiment. And then I will be probably looking for the initial break to the downside. So we could get more into this area, more to closer to 650. Anywhere between 630 and 650, we could continue to creep up into here. So what I would do, right? What I would do, just as an immediate, right? I can't give you investing advice, but I would draw a rough trend line. Here we got a rough trend line. Something like that. Boom. We got a rough. This is very, very rough. Nothing crazy. But we're in this daily upward trend. And as long as it keeps following this trend, I would be in the trade. I would be in calls. But I would be looking to probably get out because we've got strong support and resistance, or really resistance up here. So I'll be looking to exit, especially if it breaks this trend line down. So if I was to sum up my words in a different way, if you're already in NEO to the upside, if you're holding shares or if you got calls, continue to ride the trend up. until we get to the top of this support and resistance zone, or if we break the trend, whatever happens first. Now, if you're looking to get into NEO on the upside, this is just me, so I can't necessarily tell y'all what to do, but this is just me. I would wait for tomorrow and see where the price touches one of these points along this line. If it touches one of these points on the lower end, then I would think to enter into some NEO calls. I will be looking for a candlestick pattern confirmation, like a bullish hammer on any time frame tomorrow, the hourly, the 30-minute, the whatever the case may be. A bullish hammer around touching the line, catching those calls to the upside. The cool thing is we've got full time frame continuity up. So that's my long and short when it comes to NEO, ticker symbol Nancy Intelligent Oscar. So riding this up into the support and resistance zone that we have, once we get to the top of here, even if we don't break the trend, I probably will be looking to get out of it, because what we can see on this daily chart is that when NEO gets into the support and resistance zone, you know, it kind of struggles and it comes back down, right? We got up in here, came back down, got up in here, came back down, got up in here, came back down. I'm hoping, and this is just me just kind of guessing, right? I'm hoping that because NEO is so far low already with the price, that there might be a little bit of market manipulation with the earnings coming up. And with earnings coming up, hopefully that'll push it higher. But I don't like to play earnings. I've been burned too many times. And you guys, if you're new to my chat, one thing that I always say about earnings is ride the momentum afterwards, because these market makers are very squirrely. They're very manipulative. Even if a company beats earnings and it beats revenue and it does outstanding on all the metrics, the market makers could still want to push the stock down. So in order to play it safe, and you guys know me, I'm a very conservative trader, I'll wait and just ride the momentum. So if the market likes it, whatever NEO says for the earnings, I'll ride it after the numbers are released and ride it up. If the market doesn't like it, then I'll ride it back down. So whoever asked about NEO, I hope that answers your question. All right, we got a lot of comments in here, a lot of comments. All right, so that was Roland Luke. That was for you. Big shout out to Roland Luke asking about NEO. I hope that gave you a little bit of value there. All right, and now Bab wants to take a look at the weekly chart on NVIDIA. Jefferson says he made some money on Rivian today. Good shout out to you, Jefferson. All right, thank you again, Thrill Brill, for the follow. Roland Luke says PDD or JD, China stocks in general, what you think? Roland Luke, new vehicle goes on pre-sale tonight, I think, for NEO. A big shout out to Delvisons. Hi, what's going on? Roland Luke says, I'm in, baby. That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, Jolene, BNED, aka Barnes & Noble, should be the new meme stock. Is that right? Okay, SMCI chart. Okay, let me keep it in order. The first one was for Bab. A big shout out to Bab. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Now, Bab, remind me, do you have NVIDIA shares or do you also have options contracts? Do you have NVIDIA shares or do you just have the contracts? I feel like the other day you were telling me you had shares. Okay, all right. Let's take a look. Our full or side money, Barnes & Nobles. Okay, let's bring up this NVIDIA chart. Bab says they got shares. Bab, make sure you tap in with the Discord because you signed up. So I want to see you in there so we can answer your questions. I can do some charting for you. You join the community. So the number one thing is I can do is show you some love, Bab. So make sure you sign back into the Discord. I know it's easy to forget about it, but I want to see you in there so I can give you value, all right? Okay, so we're looking at the daily chart or the 30-minute. Let me go back to the daily for NVDA. Here we are still facing some resistance, right? We're in a support and resistance zone. Look at this kind of hecticness. All right, so the last time it looked like I charted NVIDIA, we were in this support and resistance zone and it came down. Just like I said, look at, we kind of saw the same thing with NEO. Gets into support and resistance, come down. Gets into support and resistance, comes down. Here we are in kind of like another one. So if you're bullish and there's earnings coming up. There's earnings coming up on the 22nd. So here's what I'm thinking. Look at, and we're trading sideways. We have about a week or so until earnings. So we might get a little bit of movement. But I'm thinking overall we're going to be in this kind of broad range, if you will. And at the most, we might creep up over the week into this support and resistance zone. And then depending on, as we all know, depending on what NVIDIA says, that'll determine how the market reacts, right? My guess is, just based on everything that we know, there are so many partnerships that NVIDIA has made over the past year, since May of 2023, when they first announced AI and how crazy their chips are going. There are so many partnerships that NVIDIA has made. My thoughts are, and nobody knows, but just my guess, my thoughts are they're going to announce that they beat their revenue, they beat their earnings per share. I think that's almost a given, and we're going to see a push up on the stock price. Maybe close to 1,000, maybe even a push up over 1,000. Now, the kicker here is if you have shares like BAB, you're golden because you can ride those shares up. But if you're looking to get into options contracts, the implied volatility is going to be horrendous. It's going to be nasty. So just like I said a minute ago, what you want to do is you want to ride that momentum up if the market reacts positively, and you want to ride that momentum down if the market reacts negatively. But for the time being, over the next week, I wouldn't expect any major moves from NVIDIA. I honestly think that the key players, the institutions, and everybody like that, they're going to keep NVIDIA pretty steady until earnings. So over the next week, we won't see any major moves. We'll see a little bit of movement, but until earnings, I think they're going to keep NVIDIA pretty stable. OR Via Real, thank you for the follow. Press Master Flex says, yap, 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 talk about the stock that matters, GME. GME prediction. So, Press Master Flex wants to talk about GameStop. All right, NVIDIA crashes like Meta. All right, Matthew Dad says, follow the creator. Bab says, after earnings, that's right. Aaron says, NEP. Okay. So, just a little bit of what I was thinking on the NVIDIA side. Okay, Kai, thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate the likes, y'all. We're running it up, getting close to 500. Thank you for everybody that's rocking with me so far. Now, I want to go back through and make sure I didn't miss anybody before Mr. GME came through the live. So let's see. We got a lot for Mr. GME all day. All right. Delva says full-time or part-time. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Are full or side money. I think you're asking me if I trade full-time or if I'm part-time. So I am part-time trading. I do have a full-time job. And so I get in when I can. I do these lives when I can. And I do my thing on the side until I can make this a full-time thing. All right, so let's take a look at GME, which I think is a pretty straightforward. I don't know what else needs to be discussed with GameStop outside of the fact that it's a squeeze. We're in basically the same arena from just a few years ago. Roaring Kitty has come back, right? That's what ignited this whole thing. Roaring Kitty coming back, dropping all kinds of memes and things like that, signals yesterday. And what did we see? What did we see going in the past 2 days, right? Everybody with diamond hands came through, pushing the stock up, forcing the short sellers to buy more, and then they did what they do best. They manipulated the market. They got all the brokers on board to halt trading so they can get out and push the stock down, and now we see it's climbing back up in the after hours. So the real question becomes, are you going to chase GameStop if you're not already in? And if you are already in, you should be well within profit. My thoughts are, I'll tell you exactly what happened with me. Yesterday, right before the market closed, when GameStop was around here, I was definitely thinking about getting in, and I didn't. I didn't chase after it because I had a feeling that the market makers were going to do something like they did today, where they just halted trading on and off throughout the whole day so they continue to push the stock down. Now, could I have made some money had I got in when I looked at it yesterday before the market closed and right when the market opened up on the options contract side? For sure, without a doubt. But then it gets a matter of, when would you have taken profit? Would you have been greedy? That's the biggest thing right now. All right, Mr. T, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Trade Disciple says trading is an automation from the New York Stock Exchange. It will happen with any stock in the market. Are you talking about the halting of the trading? Are you saying that if there's a lot of volatility, the New York Stock Exchange will halt trades? I can see that happening because we've seen that with other tickers. IDK says up $2,000 with BB after hours, halting. Yeah, I agree with you, Trade Disciple. I definitely agree with you. I think that it could happen with any stock for sure. So maybe it's not necessarily human beings going in and saying, hey, we don't want the dumb money to make money and profit. It could be an algorithm that says when there's this much volatility that happens with the stock, go ahead and halt it until everything gets sorted out. The only issue that I have with it, I do agree with you. The only issue that I have is it's the big players that have the ability to get out of their positions even when trading is halted. It's the regular retail traders and retail investors that don't have that ability, that when trading is halted, to be able to get out, to dump their shares in the dark pool to make movements like that are well hidden. Volume, not volatility. All right, so Kelsey Hammer says, let me go through a few here. Callie says, how long did it take you to become consistently profitable? So to answer your question, it took me a long time. Kai, I believe it's pronounced, not Callie, but Kai with 3 I's. It took me a very long time. I had my very first options trade in June of 2020. I'm what I would like to call a pandemic trader. So there were a lot of us that got exposed to trading during the pandemic. I'm one of them. My very first option trade was in June of 2020. Now, of course, during the pandemic, after March of 2020, it was pretty much a bull market. So my first year, if you will, I was profitable, but I don't even count my first year. I don't even count 2020. Now, 2021 and 2022, I didn't take trading seriously, and I lost tens of thousands of dollars. As embarrassing as it may sound, I lost tens of thousands of dollars not knowing what I was doing in trading from 2021, 2022. Now, in January of 2023 is when I decided, hey, I want to take it seriously. I want to be committed to this, and I want to make sure that I become consistently profitable. And so that's when I saw a change in my trading. But the 2 number 1 things that I did were I created a back testing log and I started a trading journal. Those are the 2 number 1 things that I implemented that turned my trading around. So I could look back and see exactly where I was making a mistake emotionally, psychologically, or if I made a mistake by not following my trading rules. And then my back testing log, of course, tells me whether or not the strategy or the setup or the edge that I'm using can be consistently profitable. Those 2 things alone completely changed my trading to a 180. All right. Anonymous says, how long have you been doing an average return per year? Trade Disciples, I'm with Smart Money this time around, bought a ton of 2-month expiration puts. Very smart, Trade Disciple, very smart. I've been seeing a lot more people that have learned their lesson. So I would say that as well. Thank you, Trade Disciple. A big shout out. If you really want to do something, because we know, right? We know long term that GameStop is going to come back down. So Trade Disciple just put us on some game. The smart thing that we know that's going to happen, that's the inevitable, is that GameStop is going to come back down. How long it's going to take, we don't know. But if you buy some puts far out, you should be good money. And I can't tell you what to do. This is not investing or trading advice. I would say only what I'm considering, which is exactly what Trade Disciple just said. Buying some puts as far out as you can afford, or at least buying puts as far out as I could afford, would be the way that I would go when it comes to GameStop. Because we know it's going to come back down. Look, it's literally coming down right now as we're talking. Right now as we're speaking, GameStop is coming down. So if you got some puts far out, you should be good. Okay, I see you. Big shout out to you. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. All right, Daniel Martinez, where do you start learning and educating yourself on learning to trade and read the market? Here's what I'm going to say, and I mean this wholeheartedly, Daniel Martinez. You have to, and this is from somebody who learned the hard way, the easiest thing to do is to find a good trader that you know people have vouched for that's legit. And I'm not trying to plug myself. I'm talking about if you see that there's another trader out there that's super popular and you know that they consistently put points on the board, you know that people in their community make money, and you know that they offer like a straightforward educational plan, join their Discord, learn from one person, and learn in a linear fashion. One of the hardest things about the learning curve with trading is that most of us, we either jump into all these different Discords and buy all these different courses, and it's a whole mix of all these different teaching styles that it doesn't really become cohesive. So that's one thing I definitely learned. I believe it's from the day trading professor. I was listening to him one day on like a podcast, and he said whether it's him or somebody else, the number one thing that you can do is pick one person to follow and just stick with that. The problem is we read all these different books, we look at all these different YouTube videos, and then it gets very confusing. Then we want to try this, then we want to jump over here, then you want to try another strategy. The key is to pick one, stick to it, and master it. But I will say, do your due diligence beforehand. Look at the reviews. See if you can get in contact with people that are in the community. Ask questions. Do your best research, and then just follow one person. All right, thank you guys for the follows. Chad says, Daniel Martinez, find someone who has a proprietary trading background. Big shout out to Chad. That's a good point too. Find somebody who has a proprietary trading background. That's for sure. All right, Freddie followed me. Thank you. Big shout out to Freddie. Okay. So just a quick recap from what we saw in GameStop. The number one point that I can make, which actually goes to the trade disciple, is when it comes to GameStop, one of the smartest moves that I would do, that you could do, is buy puts. Buy puts on GameStop that are far out. As far out as I could possibly afford. So whatever that may look like for your trade account size, as far out as you possibly afford, okay? Like Trade Disciple said, he's got puts 2 months out. So something like that. Because we know, even when all the dust settles, that GameStop has got to come back down. The fundamentals of the company, and this is no disrespect to all the diamond hands out there, everybody that's hodl for life, just the sheer fundamentals of GameStop, unfortunately, is not there. Not in this digital era, not where we have streaming of video games, whatever the case may be. So puts in the long term. Now in the immediate, could we see some shoot ups? Could we see some more volatility throughout the rest of the week? Yeah. But the puts is probably the for sure way to go. Because we know that smart money is going to do what they did the first time. By any means necessary, they're going to try to push this stock back down. Thank you guys for the follows. Thank you, Kamar, for the follow. Thank you, Jervon, for the follow. Appreciate that. Yo. Thank y'all for coming through. Appreciate it. All right, so those are my thoughts on GameStop. Thank y'all for the likes. Getting close to 1,000. So just to... All right, so we got a question. What if GameStop has something to do up their sleeve and an institution knows that that's why they pumped it? That's possible. I would love for that to happen. To be honest, I would love for GameStop to come up with some type of AI, cloud-based streaming, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, unless they announce something absolutely crazy, we're going to see the same thing that we saw 3 years ago. All right, Andrew Worthington, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. All right, so let us keep pushing. So if you just joined, the last recap that I did was last week. I said that I was getting into Amazon puts based off of their recent 52-week high and initial daily downtrend. So for anybody that just joined, I want to just do a quick recap on that. So what we saw was this 52-week high, this all-time high here. We started this initial daily downtrend. Around here is like when I got in on the puts, and then I just wrote it down, and that was it. My plan was to continue to ride this downtrend all the way down until it broke the downtrend and then to get out. But unfortunately, I had a couple things pop up at my end, and then the safest thing for me to do was just to get out and take profit. And there's one thing I want to tell the new traders out there, or the people that are struggling with profit: never feel bad about taking profit. It happens all the time that you take it too early. You continue to look at the stock on the chart. You see it continue to run in your direction. Don't feel bad about that, because it could be worse. It could be that you lost money. So never feel bad if you took profits a little early, because at least you won that battle. Remember that. At least you won that battle. And consistently winning battles is how you win the war. All right, Dawson Beckwith. All right, so this person, you don't have a screen name, but you say, because why would it pump like that out of nowhere? It doesn't make sense. That's a good question. That's a real good question. Dawson Beckwith says, explain the numbers. Always see my analysis with them. Are you talking about these numbers here? These are the numbers from the strat, which is a trading strategy. I don't necessarily use the strat anymore, but I always keep the numbers on my charts. So these numbers are the strat, and it's a pretty simple, straightforward way to help you with trading. It's based off of number combinations. So if you see a 3 candle, that means that this candle went outside, and it went below, and it went above the previous candle. If it's a 2, that's just directional. That means it went above one side or below one side the previous candle. So the strat, these numbers, they're all based off of the previous candle. So if the next candle goes above the previous high and below the previous low, that's a number 3. That's an outside candle. If it goes just in one direction, so let's say it only goes above the previous high, that's a 2. If it only goes below the previous low, that's a 2 as well. 2s are directions, up and down. And then a 1 is an inside candle. So this candle here, because it didn't break the previous high or the previous low, that's considered a 1. And then you can look up all the different strat combinations. You can find a cheat sheet online, and it basically helps you with your entries and your exits. All right, Dawson, thank you for the follow. Thank y'all for the follow. So I want to take a look at something else. What did I see earlier? Oh, XLF was one that I saw earlier that I was looking to get into. This was an interesting one. So earlier I was looking at, I'll show y'all in the Discord community, I was looking at potentially looking at XLF calls depending on how this 30-minute candle closes and price action. So what we saw was XLF earlier today literally bounced off the previous day low, this white line here, and then it formed this kind of bullish green candle. So I was looking at it to bounce. Now, the one thing that kept me from getting into the trade was how slow the price was moving and how slow the contracts were moving. But let's just see how XLF played out for the day. All right. XLF. Woof! Look at that. Look at that right there. If I would have just been patient, another lesson learned. Here's XLF bouncing off of the previous day low. And as y'all saw, right? As you guys saw, I posted it in the Discord community here. The only thing was, it was moving slow. I wasn't being patient. And I had meetings today. So like I said, I'm not a full-time trader. I do have a 9-to-5 job. And so I was focused on my job today because I had a lot of meetings. But I'm happy that my analysis was right because look at this. Look how crazy that XLF went. Woof. And I was even looking at contracts. So I even dropped the contracts I was looking at too. So here were the contracts I was looking at. So that's another one that I'm super proud of. Even though I didn't get into the trade, hopefully a few people in the community got in and were able to make some money. All right, Kai, thank you for the follow. Somebody's looking at Rivian. Justin, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Let's take a look at Rivian. We've heard people ask about Rivian a few times. So let's go see what Rivian is doing. Supposedly, from somebody that was in the chat right now, they're saying that there's rumors that they got a new car or a new partnership, something like that. This is the 30-minute chart. Let's switch it over to the daily. You know, I like to start there. Just based off of this candle alone, I'm thinking downside. We shot up here. We've got a shooting star, or an inverted hammer, however you want to look at it. But this would be a strong consideration to the downside, especially because we got this gap that needs to be filled. Let's see if we got any earnings coming up, because I know y'all love earnings. So we already had earnings happen, and that was after hours on the 7th. And then we had this gap down, and it filled up the gap. So basically, what I would be looking for and what I would be looking to do... Oh, looks like I am frozen. Looks like there's no internet. No internet. Wow. Okay. All right. My bad, y'all. My bad. So it looks like I kind of lost internet for a second. But when it comes to Rivian, this strong shooter push down, this to me might be the initial start of a downward trend. We've already passed earnings. Looks like they tried to shake it off a bit, but we got this gap to the downside that needs to be closed. And at a minimum, probably coming back down to this kind of support and resistance zone right here. Let me kind of chart it out. This is initially what my eyes see. And we all remember that, you know, doing charting is a very subjective thing. So no need to get no need for any shade. Just a quick eyeball on the support and resistance zone right down into here. So I could see definitely this gap being closed and then maybe coming back down into the support and resistance zone. Kai says, what brokerage would I say is best for options? It's a toss-up between Thinkorswim or Webull. Now, as you guys saw, I had screenshots from Robinhood, but I finally put some money back into Webull and I put money back into Thinkorswim. So as of this moment, I'm using all three. But, of course, Robinhood has the easiest user interface. But I would say, don't allow yourself to get trapped into that, because that's what happened with me. I started on Robinhood, got very comfortable. But then as you grow as a trader, you're going to realize that you need to be a little bit faster on your execution. You're going to want things like a trailing stop. You're going to want some other features and functions. And you might be a little hesitant like me to go over to something like... Weebull or Thinkorswim. So just avoid the headache now. Go ahead and sign up for Thinkorswim or Weebull and get over the learning curve now. So those are the two that I would say for options. One thing I don't like is on Weebull, on the app on the phone, there's like so many taps you have to get through to get back to look at where your positions are at. Or maybe I need to set up some shortcuts or something. One thing I like about Thinkorswim is once you get into your position, you automatically see it and then it's showing you how the progress or the performance is. But you could go with either one of those to start off. All right, Dawson Beckwith says, I think SPY is crashing tomorrow. News before market too. What do we got tomorrow before the market opens up, Dawson? Let's go take a look. So if you're a new trader and you already don't have a website that's going to help you with keeping up with economic news, one place that you want to start is Market Watch, and you want to look at their economic calendar. They have a weekly calendar that they put up all the time to tell us what's going on. So here we are Tuesday. We saw that Jerome Powell spoke earlier today. And then tomorrow we've got, CPI. CPI before the market opens tomorrow. So Dawson may be on to something. Shout out to Dawson. So you definitely want to keep this on your radar, especially if you're swing trading anything, or if you're looking to get into a particular setup that's starting to form. CPI could definitely disrupt the whole thing. Yo, Cozy, thank you for the follow. Dawson says the market is so overbought too. I kind of feel you, and I'm going to tell you something, Dawson. I feel like I've been waiting for the whole sell in May and go away to happen. Here we are. We are midway through the month, and I've been kind of just being very, very conservative with my trades because I have no idea if that's going to kick in. Sell in May and go away. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yep. So this user, you don't have a username on here. I think it's XEOU. Says, what is CPI? CPI is the Consumer Price Index. It's basically the tie to what inflation is. What is the measure of inflation for the regular consumers out there? So we're going to get inflation numbers tomorrow before the market opens. That's CPI. And that is really going to create some movement right there. Dawson Beckwith says, BYND, keep an eye on it. All right. Big shout out to Dawson for dropping things in the chat for us. Appreciate it. But with that being said, y'all, I appreciate you rocking with me. I know it's been a couple days since I've been live. Everybody who rock with me, all of y'all that are in here, thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows. I'll be on again either later tonight or tomorrow. And of course, go ahead and give my Discord community a shot, Passive Income University. You can join and get the first 30 days free. And then after that, it is just $10 a month. But with that being said, I'll see y'all on the next one. All right, peace.